I was asked by my friend Rajesh Talwar, if I may call him that, Raghunath Prabhu, to speak at this wonderful gathering on the subject of Artha, ancient wisdom, modern business, mentioned here. Respected Radhanath Maharaj, respected Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, directors, leaders and members of the board of directors of various companies in USA, India, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We have met here at this wonderful eco farm, which started almost like any other farm in India, as he said, with big snakes, rats, etc. And now look what has happened. It's one of the most beautiful farm houses with various beautiful places to stay, and I am sure some of you will experience that tonight. The question is, I have to speak after lunch, and it's a very special time because you've already had wonderful prasadam, which is food for the stomach, and my job is to keep you awake. And I request you to kindly cooperate. There are two ways of looking at Artha. One is the Vedic model of Artha, the other is a modern. Both are mentioned here. The Vedic one very succulently says that everything belongs to Lord Krishna. Isavasyamidam sarvam yatkinchat jagatyam jagat tena taktena bhunjita magrada kasya svidanam. Isha is short form for Ishwar, Supreme Controller. So Supreme Controller is none other than Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchitananda Vigraha, Anadiradir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. That is Krishna. Definition of Krishna in Krishna's, Brahmaji's beautiful Brahma Samhita. Now, if we work for someone, we all are working for someone, as Maharaj mentioned in his lecture. We have to serve. But that's the nature of the soul. Since we are soul, we are not the body. So, if we serve the real master, there's a story. Would any one of you like to hear this famous story from Mathura? There was the Nagar Seth of Mathura. Nagar Seth means the wealthiest man in Mathura, who used to finance the king of Mathura. Now his Mehtaji, the one who used to write his books of accounts, was very proud that my boss even finances the king of Mathura. He has so much money. And so the Mehtaji, book writer, author, this accountant, was so feeling very happy. One day, this his boss, the Nagar Seth, said, the king of New Delhi, Akbar Badshah, is coming. And we must collect a lot of funds for him. We have to pay taxes. Huge amount of wealth went out of this fellow's treasury. So this accountant started wondering, is my Nagar Seth bigger or this Akbar Badshah is bigger? So why should I work for this guy? In his mind he was thinking. So he told his boss Nagar Seth, sorry, I worked so many years here in Mathura. For a change, I'd like to go to New Delhi. At that time, it was not New Delhi, it was just Delhi. And work under Akbar. Please make a request to King Akbar. So King Akbar, when he came, this Nagar Seth of Mathura said, I have a very, very fine, honest, sincere Munim, accountant. Do you need one? So the king said, yes, I do. Because my guy is retiring shortly. If you watch for his honesty and sincerity, I'll take him. So, all right. So he went to Delhi. And he was on top of the world. Because then he felt that at that time, ladies and gentlemen, 35% of the world's GDP was generated in India. That's why all these foreigners came to India. More than one third of the world's wealth was in India. So he felt, that I am controlling as accountant 1/3 of the world's wealth. But one day, this same Akbar Badshah went to Bakhe Bihari temple in Vrindavan, which is next to Mathura. And he told his accountant that we have to collect a lot of wealth, gold, silver coins, gems, jewelry, to present to Bakhe Bihari. He said, what? Again, this treasury will become less. Because he didn't like to lose control of the money. Anyway, Akbar was the emperor, so he had to put loads and loads, cartloads of wealth, and they marched off to Vrindavan. Then this accountant started thinking that if this temple authorities can engage me in the service of Bakhe Bihari, then I would rather be working for Bakhe Bihari than this Akbar, Muslim king. So again the king, he made a petition, and the king made a petition to the chief pujari. Chief pujari said, yes, we have vacancy for this man. But the vacancy is not as an accountant. Vacancy is as a doorkeeper. Okay? He said, anyhow, I want to work for Bakhe Bihari. So he became the doorkeeper for Bakhe Bihari. Now it was getting cold, and the Lord, they put nice shawl and nice clothes, everything, pack him up nicely warm when he goes to rest at night. So this accountant, who became a doorkeeper, watchman, was given strict instruction: once we close the door, see that nobody goes in, because there's a lot of wealth there. At night, there are dacoits, and nothing comes out. Fine. What happened? At night, it was Sharad Purnima, and the door opened automatically. Bakhe Bihari started walking out. So this watchman said, "Arey, your murti, how are you walking out? You're not supposed to go out. Nothing should go in or nothing should come out." He says, "I am the Lord, I am the Krishna himself, I am the owner of this Bakhe, I am Bakhe Bihari. How are you going to stop me? I'll come back before Mangalarti. Don't worry, there'll be no problem." So he went out, Bakhe Bihari went out. And he went to Seva Kunj. He had that pastime there. And then just before 4 o'clock, Bakhe Bihari came back. But by that time, this fellow went to sleep. Watchman, like most watchmen in Bombay. So Lord Krishna felt a little pity on him. He's shivering, and he's sleeping. So he put his shawl on this man. And he went and stood like Bakhe Bihari stands. Morning, the chief pujari says, "Arey, where is the shawl? It's missing." And he sees that this watchman is sitting outside with a shawl. So he gets tight slap. "Wake up, you..." I don't want to use the words. But anyway, you know which words they use in Mathura and Vrindavan. And this one said, "No, sir, I did not rob this." They said, "You are a robber. You took this, you opened, you took out from the Lord, and you're wearing a shawl just because you're feeling cold." He begged, he cried, but this fellow didn't believe him. But he beat the hell out of him. At night, the chief pujari got a dream. And Lord Krishna, Bakhe Bihari, gave tight slaps to him, to the chief pujari. This fellow was innocent. He's telling the truth. I went out, came back, and he was feeling so cold, so I put my shawl on him. So what's the big deal about this? So then this chief pujari apologized and so on, but he thought, in future, if something happens like this, so the curtain of Bakhe Bihari is opened and closed very fast. Because this Bakhe Bihari is a habit of coming out. So, bahar nikal jave, some big devotee comes, supposing Radhan Maharaj goes or somebody like that goes, the king, Bakhe Bihari would decide to come out also. Who knows? So, that's why if you go to Bakhe Bihari temple, you'll notice the parda is closing and opening very fast. So, this tells you that the service of the Lord is the most important thing. That is the Vedic wisdom on Artha. Lakshmi Devi is his consort. The other side of the coin is the Western concept of wealth. And that is a materialistic concept of I am the Lord of all I survey. Whatever I want more of it. Today X, I want tomorrow 3X, after that 10X, etc., etc. So we will see the two different angles of vision of Artha. The illustrious speakers before me have already spoken about Vaishnavas and the practice of bhakti. Now, in the practice of bhakti, you might wonder, how is it that somebody can do business in bhakti? Because normally, people believe that bhakti is meant for meditation and for praying in the temple and so on and so forth, isn't it? Most of us were under that impression. But actually, bhakti is devotional service without any consideration, ahituki. That is true bhakti. If there is no service, it is not bhakti. If you just sit there with a thali and say, okay, now Krishna, give me some food, that's not it. You have to work for it. So, in practicing bhakti in business, we have to use the same things which we've got now, but we have to make it as an application for Krishna's service. Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada has explained that everything, actually Rupa Goswami writes that originally 500 years ago, that everything can be used in the service of Krishna. One should not have what is called Yukta Virag, that like going to the Shamshan, and when you go there, your friend or your relative, the dead body is burned. At that time you become philosophically very astute, and I will not do this, I take this resolution, that resolution. By the time you get home, all the resolutions are forgotten. So that is not bhakti. Bhakti means day and night working for the Lord. So in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, six times, Lord Krishna from the 12th slok to the 20th slok explains who is very dear to him. Now, if you become very dear to the Lord declares, okay, he is my dear friend, he is my dear servant, or he is very dear to me in the rasa, means mellow of Vatsalya Prem or Madhurya Prem. That is the highest recognition. Not a PhD degree, not a honors degree from London University. No. The highest recognition, that is a bodily thing. But the highest recognition is when you are in love with Paramatma. Because you are Atma and that Krishna is Paramatma. Ishvara Parama. So, and if he says, that this guy or this lady is my true lover, I love them most, that is really something. So 6 times he says in Bhagavad Gita. The slokas are Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukhakshami santushta satatam yogi yathatmadra nishchaya mayarpit manor buddhi yomad bhakta same priya. He starts with that. If you become a close friend of the Lord, a friend is a friend in need, isn't it, by definition? If a friend runs away when you need him most, then what's it? He's not a real friend. So Lord Krishna says, I am the closest friend you've got. And you become my closest friend if we are tied in bhakti. So that is the best thing to do. You heard this morning Mr. Rishikesh Mafatlal. Their group, like so many groups in the world, I was just reading some statistics. 100 years ago, fortune list, the fortune list of 500 is there. Only 3 names in last year's fortune list of 500, only 3 people's names appear 100 years ago. 497 have disappeared. And I was shocked to see some of them committed suicide because they lost all their money and they couldn't face the creditors and so on and so forth, or they their business got kaput because, as you know, there are 5 types of businesses in the world. Businesses which give you your bread and butter today. You must continue that because you need day to day. Businesses which are yesterday's businesses, which are out of date. They are going to make you bankrupt. So those businesses you should sell off, not close. Try and sell it to your competitor. Let him go bankrupt. If he is not a devotee. So businesses of yesterday, forget about them. Next, businesses which are very shortly in the future going to be bread and butter. Those are the ones you should concentrate on. Then there are businesses which are too far in the future. No need to waste too much money. 2% of your income if you give R&D, that's good enough. Because it may happen in your lifetime, it may not happen in your lifetime. So there are 5 categories of businesses. Businesses which are dead, businesses which are dying, businesses which are bread and butter now, businesses which will be bread and butter in future, and businesses which are too far in the future. So Krishna says, whatever you want to do, you do. I am giving you freedom. That is the wonderful association you have with God. He gives us total freedom. Just imagine. That is in the next slok of the 12th chapter, 16 number slok. He says, first one is Advaita Sarva Bhutanam. He says again that who is very dear to him? Who does not misuse his properties. If we use or misuse his property, just like supposing you are with some friend, Jigar Jan Dost, and that friend comes daily in your house, he eats your food, opens your refrigerator, cooks whatever he wants, goes away, then he starts opening your cupboard, starts wearing your clothes, goes away. Next day he says, oh, there's a cash box inside. Let me open that also. If he doesn't know the combination, he'll find out somehow by hook or crook. There are people in Lal Bagh who open any numbers. I found that out because I had one suitcase and somehow it got mixed up. So I took it there and within 2 minutes, the fellow opened my suitcase. I said, Mariya, this fellow, I don't want to give him my address under any circumstances. So, and this is in that Samsonite showroom. And he is highly paid so that he doesn't become a professional thief. But the combination, the fellow, fatafat, he's listening very carefully and he opened the bag. So if any of you have problem like this, let me know in due course. I'll introduce you to the world's, Bombay's #1 potential thief. But he's not. See, it takes all kinds in this world. But all this talent has come from Krishna. Because Krishna can open any safe. Krishna can do anything he wants. This is the first lesson I learned. It was very fortunate that I had met Srila Prabhupada. And I was, of course, in the opposite camp. I was a Mayavadi. There are 2 types. One is the devotees, who are bhaktas, Vaishnavas, and there is a non-Vaishnavas, who are, at least at that time, I was following Lord Shiva. God bless his soul. So, Prabhupada told us that Krishna can decide and do whatever he wants. How can you restrict him? How can you put labels on him that he has only authority to do this or that? He is the supreme controller. He is the owner of all planetary systems. Not only of this little tiny speck of a planet called Mother Earth, but much, much bigger planets. Not only of this planetary system, but Ananta Koti Brahmand. Unlimited number of universes. He is the owner. He can do what he wants. So we have to learn this basic lesson from the Vedic Sanatana Dharma, that the one and only master we should really have is Lord Krishna. And Bhakti Yoga in business means business of Krishna. Now, which are the businesses Krishna doesn't want us to do? He has specified in Bhagavad Gita. Don't open slaughterhouses because he doesn't accept meat. He says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Priyachati. So, If you want to have food factories, fine. If you want to have clothes, fine. Anything which he has defined, the owner, isn't it? Just like in your house, if somebody comes and you as the owner has said, look, I don't like smoking in my house. If you want to smoke, go out on the street and smoke. Isn't it? So similarly, Lord Krishna says, if you want to go to some other universe, but not in my universe. Now, everything belongs to him, all universes. So where will you go? So this is what I'm saying, that our business should be only one, and that is devotional service. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. The last shlok of the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he uses the word very, very, 2 times. Now, as you know in Sanskrit, when you repeat a word, it is with great emphasis. So this Lord Krishna is saying that you do bhakti yoga in business, no problem, but do it with faith, completely engage yourself in my service. So that's what we have started doing. So there is a formula, ladies and gentlemen. Rupa Goswami was working for a king of Bengal. Sanatan Goswami was elder brother. Sanatan Goswami was like a prime minister, and Rupa Goswami was like the finance minister. Both very brilliant people. And he says that out of your net wealth that you earn, 50% you keep aside for the boss, for Krishna's service. 25% for yourself and 25% for your relatives. This is a formula given. Have you understood, everybody? Will you be able to follow? No. Because we got too attached to our wealth. We feel that if you give it to Krishna, now how do you give it to Krishna? That's the next question. Where is Krishna? So the answer to that is, Krishna himself says, I am the soul-giving father, seed-giving father to all. Sarva bhuteshu am braj bitpita. So if you find anywhere a person who has no food even, no clothes even to wear, no education, medical services, orphans, by all means give it to the orphanage. I'm saying not only in Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu Dharma, but even in the Muslims, because I read Quran also, the highest service in the Quran, they say, is to the orphanage. Do you know this? Even in the Christian faith it is stated. Because the Lord watches where you are putting your money. Are you putting your money where your mouth is? Or are you putting it all the time in your pocket? You have to take out sometimes and use the money. Otherwise, Lakshmi Devi is very chanchal. She will disappear. Believe me, she doesn't like to be pocketed in your pockets all the time. If you use it in her husband's service, then the wife is very happy. But if the wife finds out that you are only trying to pocket her, like Ravan, then you get in the category of Ravan. After all, Ravan did try to pocket Sita, take her into Lanka, tie her up, virtually tie her up in the Ashokvati. My wife wanted one day that, her name is Maithili means Sita, that let's go to Ashokavati. I said, you're mad? This is civil war going on. People are killing each other. This was, how many years ago, Kushan? Must have been about 15 years ago. 15 years ago. But she insisted, no, I must go to Ashokavati. I said, sometimes to please the wife. All right, chalo, jayenge. I had an agent in Colombo. So the poor fellow, he was so kind. He got a brand new, it was second hand, but reconditioned, beautiful van he made, Toyota. And he took us from Colombo all the way, Kennedy, and Narulia, and we went all the way up to now there is a road going up to this place. But there is one beautiful thing about Ashokavati. It is on a vertical cliff, almost vertically up. No man can climb it. Now, of course, they made a road. But only monkeys could climb it. And that's where Ravan made a mistake. So, all of us should realize that we cannot use money only for our own sense gratification, because then we fall into Ravan consciousness instead of Krishna consciousness. So this is the difference between the two consciousness. Actually speaking, we have come here to this material world to enjoy, really speaking. All of us want pleasure. All of us want fun. All of us want happiness. But the question is, where do we find happiness? Not in liquor stores, surely not. I once, before I joined Krishna consciousness, I was still listening to Prabhupada. I went to Las Vegas. And that's another business. Las Vegas, like Maharaj's mother, in those old days, we used to have a big wallet. You remember? Men used to carry like a purse. Same thing. Passports, tickets, money, hotel chavi, all gone in this casino. And I must confess that I prayed right there in the casino to Krishna. And really, I'm telling you, there was a sound on the loudspeaker with my name. Dr. Narendra Desai here in the hall, please come to the manager's cabin. I said, thank God, somebody knows, that must be the wallet. And I went there and they asked me, have you got proof who you are? I said, my proof is in my wallet. They said, you got your driving license? I said, yes. So fortunately, I had the Indian driving license. So I showed him. And they gave me back everything. So Krishna will provide what you lack and preserve what you have. That is another thing, beautiful thing in Bhagavad Gita, he says. If for any reason, like Maharaj's mother lost her purse to this monkey who was fighting with her, Las Vegas is full of monkeys only. Whether they are suited and booted or whether they are naked, they will take away your things, whether you like it or not. One way or the other, your money is gone. So, why get involved in liquor shops, places where gambling takes place, where illicit sex goes on? You see, these are the places where Kali resides. All of us know that this age is known as Kali Yuga, age of quarrel and disturbance. So Kali got a residence address given to him by the king, emperor of that time called Parikshit Maharaj, because Kali surrendered to him. Now in those days, if somebody surrendered to the emperor would not chop off his head. See, he would pardon him. So then Kali said, now you give me a place to stay. So he said, all right, you can stay in these places where there are slaughter of animals, meat eating and all that, liquor, shops, liquor, production, gambling, and illicit sex. Now, why get involved with Kali consciousness? We are already in Kali Yuga. We are already in trouble. Why get into further trouble? Isn't it? Let's get out of this Kali Yuga. So the business of a devotee is twofold. One is to please Krishna, and the other is to get out of this mess of Kali Yuga. Never come back again in this material world. Because actually speaking, 3 times the size of this material world is the spiritual world, according to the Vedas. Is that correct, Maharaj? 3 times? And that is our real home. Giriraj Maharaj once told me, Giriraj Maharaj's book is for sale outside, Watering the Seed. Now, why watering the seed? Because our original body is not this body. This material body is made of these 5 Panchamahabhutas, which will be buried or it will be burnt, as Radhanath Maharaj said, when we die. But we have a spiritual body. Most of you may or may not know, but we really have 5 bodies. One is this Annamaya Kosh, made of food. This is what we are now. Because in the mother's womb, umbilical cord, the food went there and the baby developed. That is Annamaya Kosh. Second, Pranmaya Kosh, the breath of life. Vijnanmaya Kosh, Manomaya Kosh, mind body. And Vijnanmaya Kosh, intellect body. And then Satchitanand Kosh, which everybody talks of Satchitanand, which is the spiritual body. Now the spiritual body we have left behind in the spiritual world, all of us. It's like leaving something in a deep freeze. And that has actually shrunk. By bhakti, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. I don't hear anybody say, half of you are asleep. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That gives life to the spiritual body. and then again that spiritual body develops. So, if you are on the right path of this Bhakti Yoga in business, you'll have a very successful life while you are here, but more important, you'll have a much better life when you are in the spiritual world. So you are building an asset, a big khajana, treasury house for your next life. If you don't believe it, once a man, this newspaper reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, supposing there is no afterlife, when you die, you're buried or you're burned, body is burned, finished, that's the end of it. Then what will happen to you? All this effort you made, all this hard work you did for Krishna, and there is no Krishna at the end. Then what happens to you, Mr. Prabhupada? This American reporter asked. Then Prabhupada replied, and what will happen to you if there is Krishna? At least I'm happy what I'm doing now. You are unhappy what you're doing now, and you'll be worse off if there is Krishna. What will happen to you? So this was the answer he gave. So he was very brave, Srila Prabhupada. He could answer anybody immediately. So what we are doing now is we are building our assets, which are eternal, permanent assets, not temporary. And I think any wise businessman knows that he has to build his assets. He has to build his wealth. He has to make sure that he is prepared for death. He has to make sure that he has after death. There are many books on after death. I will talk to you in a minute. What happens after death, you have to be prepared for. There is a wonderful person called Dr. Moody Jr., who has written this book, Life After Life, and various other authors. And it is a proven medical fact now that death is a passing show. There is not a terminal end of the story. Death is only temporary phase. There is a life after death. So the real devotee is the one who prepares for the not only this life, have a good happy life here, but for the next life. I did start by telling you that there is the material concept also of artha. Now the material concept I need not emphasize too much. Before you learn much about it, the income tax department is going to be after you, because they have authority to raid under section, what is that, 128, 132, something like that, Income Tax Act. Any chartered accountants here? Chartered accountants? No? Hai na? Madam? 132, there you are. I thought it was 132. And they have authority, correct? What can you do? They can come in your house, show you a piece of paper, section 132, okay, give me all the keys. They are like Yamduts. Simple, straightforward. They have that authority. Yamduts also have that authority. They will take your soul away. They will give you whatever legal punishment Yamraj wants to give you. That is their job. You can't blame them for that. Similarly, you can't blame the income tax officers. In fact, I pity them, poor fellows. Many of the income tax officers, I have talked to many of them, they get frustrated. कि बहुत रेड किया, मैं थक गया अभी रेड से, बहुत टेंशन बहुत है. One income tax officer told me, after every raid I lose 4 kilos. I said, that's very good. Then enjoy food here and I raid somebody else. Why you come here then? So, best thing in the world is to realize that the material side of business, it's okay, fine, as long as you are within legal means. The moment you step out, fear comes in. That supposing somebody, one of your employee reports you and you have a raid at your place. And if you are in a place like African countries, they may even put you in jail straight away. There may not be proper justice also. Or if you are in Saudi Arabia or somewhere, they'll cut your hand off or foot. I don't know which part of the body they like or don't like. So that happens in those countries. So it is too dangerous to continue to do non-bhakti yoga business. It is far superior to do bhakti yoga business, bhakti yoga in business, because that's the intelligent thing to do. I was given time, I have overstepped by 5 minutes. Now I have to request If any of you have any questions, I am sure there are questions in your mind. If you want to ask publicly, you can ask me. Privately, you can ask me. I don't mind either way. So, is there any gentlemen or ladies? Ladies? You understood what I was talking about? Matajis? Okay. Any questions? Haben Sie ein Problem? Nein, keiner. Okay, that's German. She's a German lady. So I asked her in her language. Yes, yes. Prabhuji, give him a mic.
Hare Krishna. I have a good
Your name please?
This is Rishi.
Rishi,
Again.
okay. Because you are in the spotlight, I couldn't see your face.
I said I have good association with your son and son-in-law, so I have part answer to this question, but I'd like to pose it to yourself. If one is starting a business and one is profitable with Krishna's grace, and through that profit one decides post-activity to donate a percentage of that to charity,
Absolutely.
versus one starts a business and conceptualizes that a part of that business, if it is profitable, because one never knows when one seeds a business, that a percentage of that profit will go towards charity. Fundamentally, how would you help us, the younger generation, understand the different approaches? Because ultimately, profit is going to the charity or to a charitable cause.
Yes, it's a very important point. First of all, it's wise always to give to an official charitable organization, because that's recognized by the income tax. You might get an ATG or a 3512 or something as a tax relief. So somebody has done homework for you by making sure that's not a cheating case. Because there are many charitable organizations which can cheat you. Secondly, you should have a guru. You should have a teacher. If you want to learn engineering, you go to an engineering school, right? Or a college, or a medical school for medicine, accounting college. So you must have a teacher. And you should ask these questions to your teacher. That which is the charity organization I should give? But the thought is very kind on your part. Now, when will you start practicing?
No,
You're already doing, right?
My question isn't which charity. My question is, what is the difference in the approach of, like Rajiv and Kushal will say that we will start a venture, we will give 50% or 20%, whatever the number is, to charity. Versus some people start businesses without a commitment to a certain percentage to charity, and post-event, if they make the money, if they're successful, it's an afterthought that they'd like to give to charity. What is your
No,
view
there's
of the
no
different
difference.
approaches?
There's no
Okay,
difference.
that's my-
There's no difference. Money is money, whether you think about it or not think about it. Once it comes in your account, it's yours. Means you might have thought that I should give a charity after I make a profit. Correct? That's what you're saying. And another person thinks, after I make a profit, I'll think it over and I'll decide whether to give charity or not. And then he may give charity. So are there a difference between the two guys? No, there's no difference. Because the end result, everything depends on result. The result is they both gave charity. Correct? One with the pre-notion that he's going to do business and give charity. The other fellow says, I'm not committed to give any charity, but later on I may consider to give charity. But if he, at the end of the day, both give charity, both benefit. Because once you give charity, the rest of your wealth becomes purified. Did you know that? That is the Vedas. Because just like you want to have a bath, you go for a soap and water and then have a bath, right? The rest of your body becomes clean. What is unclean goes out through the gutter. Do you know that once you give charity, the rest of your money retained with you becomes purified? Did you know that, Rishi?
No, now I do.
Yeah, that's a fact. Ask somebody who's given big charities and ask them. They feel happy. Are you giving the mic to Rajiv? What is your experience? Rajiv?
He's going to speak about it now.
Sorry?
He is going to speak about it now in the
He's going to speak about it now.
Yeah.
was wondering, he opened his mouth and word came out from here. Ye kya? Wonderful. So shall we?
Yeah, well,
I'll get back.
thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Desai. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Most important, thank you. 90% of you were awake.